Hello everybody. Today we are going to solve some tasks and learn a bit more about methods in Java. We'll focus on the return keyword and understand how it works. We'll also talk about static in Java. So let's get started. So let's create a Java class called person. So first we create a method called show user information. The void keyword means that this method does not return any value. Inside the method, we create three variables: a string variable called name, an int variable called age, and a double variable called salary. After creating the variables, we assign values to them. The name variable stores text, the age variable stores a whole number, and the salary variable stores a decimal number. Next, we print the original values to the console using this method. After that, we perform several arithmetic operations. We create a new variable called increased salary and decrease salary by 10%. Then we create another variable called age in 5 years and add 5 to the current age. Next, we create the early income variable by multiplying the monthly salary by 12. Finally, we print all calculated results to the console. Now you can see the result. Okay, now let's understand the return keyword in Java. The return keyword is used to send a value back from a method. When Java reaches return, the method immediately stops and gives back the result. Let's look at examples. Example 1, returning a number. Here the method returns an int value, the sum of two numbers. Example 2, return a string. Here the method returns a string value. Example 3, void method, no return. A void method does not return any value, it only performs an action. A void method does not return any value, it only performs an action. Now let's understand one important difference between method with return and void method. Methods that return a value can be assigned to a variable. This is because they produce a result. For example, we can store the result in a variable. Now result will contain age. The same works with string, but void methods cannot be assigned to a variable because they do not return any value. For example, this is incorrect because there is nothing to store. Now let's go to the task 2, conditions. The check number method takes one integer parameter. Inside the method we use an else-if statement. If the number is greater than 0, it is positive. If the number is less than 0, it is negative. If the number is equal to 0, it is 0. This is basic condition logic used to make decisions based on the value. Now let's see the result. Here's the result. As you can see, it is correct. And now go to the task 3, loop. The print number method uses a for loop. This loop runs from 1 to 10. Inside the loop, we check each number using this expression. If the remainder is 0, the number is even, otherwise is odd. Even numbers even, odd numbers odd. And now let's see the result. As you can see, we have the correct result. Now, alright, now go to the main class. But first we need to create a static method. Now let's talk about static in Java. Static methods and variables belong to this class itself, not to objects. They are created only once when the class is loaded. And they are shared between all objects of the class. Normally, when we use a class, we first create an object, like this. Here the method belongs to the object, so every object can call it separately. This is a called not static method. But if a method is static, we don't need to create an object. We can call it directly using the class name, like this. This is because static methods belong to the class itself, not to any specific object. The same idea works with variables. A static variable is shared across all objects. For example, if we create multiply objects, both objects work with the same variable. There is only one copy of counter in memory, and it is shared. Important thing to understand, static does not mean the objects cannot be created. You can still create objects, but they all share static data. Static means shared at class level. Not static means belongs to each object separately. Inside this class, we define the main method, which is the starting point of the program. Inside main, we call the static method process array directly. We do not need to create an object because the method is static. Inside process array, first we create an integer array. This array stores 5 numbers. Printing array elements, we use a for loop to go through each element of the array. Number left means the size of the array. We print each element one by one. Finding the largest number, we create a variable max and assign the first element of the array. Then we loop through the array starting from the second element for each value. We check if the current number is greater than max, we update max. This way, max always stores the largest value found so far. At the end, we print the largest number in the array. And now I will show you a simple program that you can easily recreate without any problem. Just copy and paste this code exactly like this. I will leave the code in the description. The constructor is resembly for handling mouse clicks and updating the square position. The paint component method is responsible for driving the square on the screen. The main method creates the windows and starts the program. The repaint method redraws the panel after the square position changes. This variable stores the current position on the square. So that's it for today. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. See you in the next videos.